Welcome to Win the Day from Back to the Bible. I'm your coach, Pastor Nat, and today we're going to talk about recovering from denial. Have you ever tried to avoid being seen? Have you ever tried to dodge a person or a situation because you didn't want to deal with the consequences? Oh man, I sure have. Now, sometimes it's because I just don't have the time. But other times it's because I'm trying to avoid responsibility or a hard situation. Well, Peter experienced a situation like this during Jesus' trial with Annas. What exactly happened with Peter? Let's go back to the Bible for the answer. This is what John records in John chapter 18, beginning in verse 25. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. So they said to him, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter again denied it, and at once a rooster crowed. Here we have the brash, bold Peter outside warming himself by the fire. He is perfectly aware of what's happening. His friend and Lord is inside experiencing the first of several sham trials. Peter was asked earlier by a servant girl, "You're not that guy who was with Jesus, are you?" Well, as you remember, Peter didn't waste a minute. He said, "Nope, that's not me." This is exactly what Jesus had predicted. Peter would deny Jesus 3 times. That was the first denial. Here we find Peter trying to be incognito. But like most people do, they talk and converse around a campfire. Now, I can bet Peter was pretty quiet. He was cold. He was scared. He felt guilty as Jesus was inside being abused and berated, while Peter had just denied knowing him. These people probably saw Peter come in with John. Maybe he smelled a bit fishy. Maybe his accent gave him away. But regardless, they think they recognize him. So one of them asks, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" Again, Peter doesn't hesitate to respond. He says, "I am not." How many of us have spoken incorrectly or lied, and immediately we begin to beat ourselves up? We replay the event, and so what do? We prepare so that we will provide the right answer should it happen again. I have no doubt that Peter was doing the same thing. And guess what? The opportunity came quickly. But you saw it. Unfortunately, he did the same thing again. And then it says one of the servants of the high priest, a relative of Malchus, they saw Peter. He says, "Hey, you look a lot like the person who cut off Malchus's ear. I'm related to him. I was there. You look just like that guy. Are you actually him?" Again, without hesitation, Peter says, "No way." But as soon as he said it, the rooster crowed just like Jesus had said. Now, many commentators believe that as the rooster crowed, Jesus was being led away to Caiaphas. So here Jesus is being hauled away in front of Peter, and the rooster crows, and their eyes meet. Jesus knew Peter had denied him for the 3rd time, and Peter knew what he had done. Can you imagine? What a horrible moment to experience. What a gut-wrenching feeling to see your friend and Lord knowing that you have just denied ever knowing him. Now, not to give too much away, Jesus would tell Peter, "Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep. And because you love me, you will build my church. Peter, you will be the shepherd of my flock." In other words, even when Peter was unfaithful, Jesus was faithful. For you, for me, when we're unfaithful, He is still faithful to us. I've denied Jesus in my words. I've denied Him in my actions. Maybe you have too. We all struggle with sin, and at times we're not bold with our faith. But friend, God's grace is sufficient for you. Today, if you've denied Christ with your life, Jesus is not done with you yet. Ask Him for forgiveness. Ask Him to restore you, and He will. Then ask Him what you can do to live for Him so that the world will know that you are His and He is yours.